So we had the half day coming into the July 4th holiday. Um, got hammered right into the close. We talked about this. What happens a lot on these holidays, the half days, you just get outsized moves. Um, we saw it in the spies at the end of the day when it dropped from 272 to almost 270. We're gapping up kind of towards the top of the range from the last week, which is like 273 to 273 and a half. Actually come off a little bit in the pre-market. So nothing new to report other than buying below 270 keeps on being good. Shorting to 273 or above seems pretty good. And we'll see when that changes. Right now, just gyrating up and down in like a $3 to $4 range on the spies, which is just this prior consolidation range. Just going back to Tuesday for a second. At the into the close, once you see it get below 272 here and come into the support zone, notice it holds the bottom of the support zone here, pops back up and fails 272 and this is, you short this. I'm pretty sure I shorted that. I'm old, so I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure I caught this down move. At the end of the day, we did pop up in the after hours. I'm not sure why it's not showing it. To here, I shorted here in the after hours. Re-shorted some that I covered down here. So we like to say don't fade the final hour, especially on a Friday or going into a weekend or a holiday. On the IWM side, let's see. I haven't looked at it yet this morning. This is firmly back above 165. So we broke through there on Tuesday, came back down to got the retest with the big sell-off on the market, but now we're starting to see relative strength again on IWM. Maybe because the market views the tariff stuff is more likely to escalate, and the domestic IWM is more domestic focused than spies. The other possibility is it did get hammered here from 170 down to 162, so maybe some money shifting back in there away from the spies. But with us gapping to 66 here, it brings back into play 66 and a half, where we failed on June 26th and June 27th for this real hard down move. So 165 by 166 and a half now for IWM. All right, let's take a look at MU. So MU had the fireworks, no pun intended, on Tuesday. It came out. It was in a filing. I don't know if it was in their filing with the SEC or the other company. I think it was the other company actually that said there was a lawsuit going on in China, and moves get exaggerated again. They said there was some sort of injunction. MU didn't comment until this morning saying it was no big deal. That's why we had to move from 51 back up to 53 here. But certainly, I mean, this has been really in play since the earnings. Here was the earnings, came all the way down. We're looking for it to bounce back, started to bounce back on Monday, and then the news broke and boom, took out this low from the prior couple of days, that 51 and a half. So if we look at it, Monday, it did flush almost to $50. I played it for a bounce back up to 51 and a half. They shorted it into 52. And I don't see any reason why we get back down to 51 and a half today, but this is an important area. I put on the sheet. So it's above 53 right now. I don't actually think it should get below this area right here. So the news is a non-event. I should say that actually when the news broke, I was a little bit slow to get involved. So I just want to show you the thought process for news breaks. So the news breaks, and basically the press release indicates that the injunction is not going to really have any impact. 1% of sales. Already some analysts had come out before the press release from MU saying this looks like a non-event. But then the company confirmed, and it popped. I don't know why it dropped first, but it was trading at 51.15, and it popped immediately to above 52. To me, it was a pretty safe buy here in the 52 area because your upside was really back up to here, 53.5 to 54. Because I was a little bit slow, I didn't get it until 52.60 on the second pop. I had to do a quick evaluation, which was I thought it would get to 53.5, 54, but buying here $1 before that range, $1.50 into the move, not the best risk reward. Buying at 52 with a $1.50 to $2 of upside with maybe 50 cents of downside, it's a pretty good risk reward. So I bought here, and then when it pulled back into 52, I got much bigger into that, which got me my good risk reward. And now we're just kind of consolidating. So I'm sure people are long it against 53 right now. Even if it flushes below 53 on the open, I'm going to look for the quick flush into the 52.60s, get aggressive against the half, gets back above 53, sell some, and then see if it can kind of finish that move back up to 53.70 to 54, where the move started from kind of on Monday. If you look at Monday, it got hit on the open, came down to 53.5, and kind of broke through there. That was when the news broke. So to me, it's already hit the kind of the bottom of that target area. Top of the target area would be 54, and then we'll kind of see what would happen from there. So that's it. There was a couple other things I looked at, but I didn't think they were particularly good, so I didn't put them on. Facebook treated us. Things were thin on Monday, but Facebook treated us really well. Didn't give us the kind of the ideal entry price that we talked about in the morning meeting on Monday, which would have been closer to 96. But just noticed it was having problems above 95, so used that. It was actually really thin on the open, so you can kind of see on the 2-minute chart, it kept on popping up here to 95.25. See these wicks? There's somebody selling it at 95.30, and it was just like go down and wick back up and go down. Finally, I just decided after it had come down into the 70s a few times to just short it into 95, and that worked. And then once it even took out the low here, got below 94.5, it wicked back up again to the 80s, which I shorted into that again, just using a 95 now as the level. And so there was a seller here. And once it got below kind of the support area, I then said, okay, maybe we'll start to hold it down a little bit lower, and they did. Covered most of it into the 93.80 area. And then actually when it came back down here, I think I feel like I flipped it long into 92.5 when it overshot. And then reshorted it back into I think 94, the low from the open. So that's all you're doing really at this point is you capture the big move, you get the retracement back to 94, you look to start to short it. You don't want it to get above 94.50, which it did not. It came back down. I actually think I used this covered with a script here. Reshorted it again at 94. I think script covered it into 93.60 or something like that. So we're back up here to kind of where we shorted it Tuesday. I'll short it again here. But be careful. It does look like it might spike up to 95.60 to 96. If it doesn't do that and actually quickly comes back down and holds 95, I'll trade it back down to this range. It's in a little bit of a mini downtrend the last week or so. So you can see very clearly the mini downtrend. And the downtrend line has now come back down to like this, kind of where the high was on Tuesday. Tesla. So Tesla, it's gapping up a little bit after getting crushed for 2 days. I was mulling over taking out a little bit long, and it did close at the low. And it was below the support here, below 313.60. So it actually failed at that support as resistance in the pre-market. maybe a flush below 310 on the open, 309, 308.50, something like that. Then gets back above 312, play it for a move back up to 317, 318. Same thing if we zoom in on Tuesday's action, and we're looking for the bounce on Tuesday, it never, so it started to kind of like bid here. So it really, when it was doing this, it had to get back above 320 to kind of reverse this. From our perspective today, if it flushes down below here and then gets back above 312, you play it for a bounce into here and then into 318 to 320. Should be potentially $10 off today's low. And then you kind of see if it spends a lot of time today moving sideways, doesn't get back down below 316 and then breaks above 320, and I'm sure people will be looking for a move back up to 325 into this area here. From a longer term perspective, it does look like it did a few years ago when it had this topping pattern and came off a lot. So I don't know if I talked about, I don't remember if I talked about this in the meeting on Tuesday, but where was it? So it kind of was like it had this big uptrend. Well, some people call this like a head and shoulders, or this is the head and shoulders, and it broke down. This is at $130 it came off. So this is the big up move. Broke the uptrend, got back up to here at 365, couldn't get back above it. So I'm sure there's already people starting to think about this area here, kind of where it broke out from in April of last year. It would take some work, I think, to get down there. Give you a little bit of bad news. Question about ANF. So ANF's not in play, is it? Yeah. Oh, ANW. ANW is in fact in play. All right, so this one, I don't remember what the news was that caused this to go from 3 to 50 cents. Probably was pretty bad. They got a financing agreement. So without having a chance to read the news, I don't know if this is an AXON situation where, you know, it came back a couple dollars and it's going to go right back down, or this is actually real. But from just a purely technical perspective, 130 to 120 would be the support. Let's see if guys are shorted or long it on the desk. No one's, I don't see any positions right now. So definitely worth looking at. It's normally trades 3 million shares, already traded 2 million. Once I get a chance to read the news a little bit more, I'll maybe weigh in a little bit more. And then the other one is DF. BG. This one. So this one had news recently. It gapped up to $6 and sold off. I don't know if that was put themselves up for sale or what that was, or maybe it was. It's right back up to where it gapped to on the news. Okay, so this is nothing too. As always, be patient and good luck.